Hey everybody, I'm back from vacation. I want to say I'm sorry for not putting up a video last week. I was just having a lot of fun and I, really just needed the time away from having to worry about getting stuff done and deadlines and getting out videos and responding to emails and all of that stuff. The problem is I think I might have had a little bit too much fun because I seem to have a very kind of nasty cold now where I'm coughing and snuffling and all kinds of congestion. I got like this deep chest cheese I keep coughing up. It's all like yellow and green and gooky and snot's running down my nose and all of these wonderful things. And hopefully now that I've painted you a nice graphic picture of my symptoms, you no longer have any desire whatsoever to watch pornography or masturbate. So welcome to the Sacred Sexuality Project, where we help you live a higher expression of your sexuality. And today what I wanted to do is kind of bring us back to basics and give you guys 3 tips that'll help you process really strong urges. The first of these tips is kind of a prep tip that you do in advance before you get an urge. And the other 2 are 2 things that you can do while you feel like you're getting overwhelmed and really want to relapse and things like that. So the first tip, this tip is about dealing with your gremlin, okay? And I've talked about your gremlin before, but basically your gremlin is this part of you that kind of has all these arguments and thoughts that try to get you to do things that you don't really want to do. It's that little voice in your head that's saying, go ahead and jerk off. It's all right. Just this one time. Or, it gives you the argument that, everyone else is doing it. It's not really going to make a difference if you let it go this one time, or, any number of arguments that you can get. So this little voice causes the most trouble when we can't distinguish it from the other higher level thoughts that we have. So for example, in the moment we have this one thought that says, watch porn and masturbate. And then we have this other thought that says, don't do that. If we treat both of these as equal and valid options that we have to lend equal weight to and really listen to, then chances are we'll go with that gremlin voice because that's the one that's going to make us feel good in the moment. So in order to overcome this obstacle of these competing thoughts, you need to get very clear on what it is you truly believe. Okay? So you need to know what you feel, what you think, and what you hold to be true on your highest, truest level of thinking. So if you take the time to figure this out beforehand, when it comes to the moment, you can look at these competing thoughts and be like, oh, well, I've already thought this through, and this is right, and this is wrong, so you just throw out what's wrong. And there's not that competition where you feel like you need to give that bad side a real say. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to actually write down your real thoughts. So get a pen and paper or do it on the computer, and first answer how porn is hurting your life. How it's keeping you from getting the life that you want. And then I want you to write down how quitting porn and quitting masturbation and all this stuff is going to lead you to the life that you want. So you got, the cons and the pros of doing this. And then what I want you to do is to think back to the times in which you have relapsed. And I want you to think about the things that were going through your head that convinced you to relapse. I want you to write those arguments or those thoughts down. And then what I want you to do is have a response to those thoughts. Like what you really believe is right. So for example, if you feel like, everyone else is masturbating and watching porn, so why don't I do it? I want you to write down a reason why that's not a good excuse. And I think you can do that. So that's it for tip number 1. Get clear so then you don't need to sort through things in the moment and get tripped up. Tip number 2 is popping the overwhelm bubble. Okay, so basically what happens to us sometimes is we have all these different stresses going on in our life. Maybe, one stress is school, another stress is girls or lack of girls, another thing is, family stuff is going on, and then maybe you're bored, and maybe you're, just feeling tired and crappy, whatever. But what we do is we take all of these crappy things and we kind of wrap them up into a ball. And we combine them and form this big super problem. And when we build this super problem, we can't overcome it. This is because what we have done is we have created a fantasy where all of these things are interconnected. And the thing is, you can't overcome this super problem. The only way you can overcome it is by not creating it in the first place. So think of it like this. Imagine that you have to travel down a road and there's 3 different obstacles that you have to overcome on this road. And say the first obstacle that you have to pass is you have to get by a lion. And once you get by him, you go a little further, then you have to get by a hippo. And then a little bit further down, you have to get by an elephant, okay? And, individually, you can figure these challenges out. They might be difficult, they might be challenging, but, these problems are not insurmountable. You can study the animal's behavior and figure out what they'll do, what they won't do, go around them, etc., etc., etc. But what we tend to do is we actually tend to combine all of these problems. So instead of a lion, a hippo, and an elephant, you have a lipophant. You're not going to get by a lipophant. Really, who do you think you are? It's got the speed of a lion, the bite of a hippo, and it never forgets. So don't create imaginary problems that are insurmountable. So if you find yourself getting overwhelmed to the point where you feel like your only way out is through relapsing, watching porn and masturbating, then here's what I want you to do. I want you to take a second and start chunking this problem down, okay? I want you to identify the individual strands of your stress. I want you to look at each one of these things that is building up and stressing you out. A lot of times there might be things even in the back of your mind that you didn't even realize were stressing you out, but are. So take the time to pick through each thread and identify that every single one has a way in which you can respond to it, in which it will not cripple you, it will not destroy your life, and you can get through it without having to resort to a relapse. Change the things that you can change, and learn how to accept, forgive, and move past the things that you can't. So that's it for tip number 2. Tip number 3, though, tip number 3 is very, very simple. Really, what I want you to do is to relax. In the moment when you feel like you are filled with an urge and struggling and all that stuff, relax your body. Many people in our modern world today are very out of touch with our bodies. And if we were more in touch with our bodies, we would realize that every single thing that we experience and all the stress that we feel is manifested in some physical form. Because basically, if you can feel it, you're feeling it with your body. And what we end up doing is we end up storing stress in our neuromuscular system. If any of you guys ever heard of Elliot Hulse from Strength Camp, he calls these neurotic holding patterns. And what they are is these patterns of, muscular tension that we use to manifest our problems in physical form. So, for example, what I normally do is I usually have my shoulders tight. I feel it like I have my traps tight and I pull back a little bit when I'm stressed. And I have to constantly be relaxing them, letting them settle down. Because when they're up and tight, that is my stress signal for my body, and then it makes me feel stress. So what I want you to do is when you find yourself being pushed and pulled by these different urges, I want you to take a moment and relax every muscle in your body. Start at the top of your head and work your way down to your toes. A lot of people, they hold a lot of tension in their face, like in their brow, where they're like, like this, or, the stress lines, the worry lines. Relax your brow. Relax, the muscles around your eyes. Your lips. Some people, purse their lips and stuff like that. Other people get real tight around their jaw. They're clenching their jaw, or then the neck muscles. And we got a really tight neck, tight traps. Let it all relax. Let it all flow out. Just take the moment to do it. It's really, you'd be amazed what this does. And work your way through the rest of your body. Maybe it's in your chest, in your stomach, in your butt. That's where the term tight ass comes from, because people are, they're storing all this tension. And just release this tension, and you would be surprised. I actually believe that I don't think I could feel truly negative emotions if I relaxed every single muscle in my body. If I laid down and really went into deep relaxation, went through each muscle one by one and relaxed it, I really don't think you can really feel negative emotions. So give that a try, and I'm sure you'll be blown away by the results. So that's my video. I hope you found it helpful. I'd love it if you could, thumbs up this video, thumbs up me on Reddit, like my stuff, whatever you gotta do. Social networking helps me out, helps other people see it. Make sure you subscribe, and all that good stuff. Other than that, I hope you guys all have an awesome week, awesome weekend, and stay clean.